Hey everybody, this is Chris Peterson here again. I'm going to do another chess commentary where I play a 15-minute game and try to talk about it while I'm playing just so I can kind of explain what I'm trying to think about. The opening here is the Caro-Kann opening. This looks like it's going to be just the main line, pretty much. I'm playing against Trich, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's 1828. This is actually the 15-minute pool, so my actual standard rating is not 1933. This is just out of the 15-minute pool. So usually how these kind of openings go is we both castle queenside. He tries to get a break on c5, and I just try to control the center, possibly open it up with d5, and just try to develop as best I can. Not sure if he's supposed to do that move so early. It doesn't look necessarily losing immediately, but I don't... Usually they're supposed to try to develop the bishop first. So I'm going to take a little time here and try to calculate a little bit, see what I can possibly do. Now, the last commentary video that I did, I had some problems with time lag towards the end, so I'm going to do this one in segments, so I'm going to have to stop the recording. Okay, I'm back, and here we go. Lost about 20 seconds on the clock or so let me go ahead and make my move here. Standard idea in the Caro-Kann is just to put pressure across the dark squares in the center here, d4 and e5. Just try to control them, and that's what black's idea is going to be too, is to try to control those squares. So I'm going to go ahead and do bishop takes, and then if he tries to pin me, I can do oh, that's okay. Just 1 second here. I gotta figure out what I can do, the best options here. So if I trade, he can play knight takes, and then he's going to trade everything off, and it's going to be an endgame, which is not necessarily my forte. So, if I go bishop c3, he can play bishop takes f2, and my knight will be hanging, which I cannot allow. So I think probably the best option here is just to play queen e3, allow him to trade. Oh, but then knight g4 could be annoying for me. Let me see if we can figure anything out here. Possibly one candidate move would be rook h4, because then after bishop takes bishop, I can play rook takes h4. And then after knight c5, we can trade everything off that way. He'll have a kingside majority over queenside, but his kingside majority would be better because it's further away from the kings. So let me see if there's anything else that we could try here. I could just allow him to trade on d4 and take back with my knight, in which case I would be moving my queen, perhaps to c3. And then after bishop takes e4, knight takes d4, sorry, I mean d4 and I say e4. So bishop takes d4, knight takes d4. Then after like knight c5, I could possibly go knight b5 on his queen, and then possibly come into d6 later on, which would be fairly strong for me. And I think I'll do that. Bishop c, queen c3. Also with queen c3, it kind of puts more pressure on the e5 square, because I need... Okay, here we go, I'm back. As you see, he traded on c5 at the end of the last segment, so I just played knight takes like I was planning. Now, the only way he can really stop knight b5 is to play a6, and that'll give me time to reconsolidate my position, I suppose. Try to control e5 some more. Because the e5 square is kind of a critical square because a lot of his pieces are kind of aiming at that square. As you can see, both the knight and the queen are trying to go to e5. So, as you can see, he played a6. He saw the idea of trying to come in with knight b5. A6 could possibly be a weakness later on if I ever get some kind of attack going, but at this point it doesn't really look like it. I don't necessarily have to worry about his pawn push on e5 because my knight could come to e5, or f5 I mean, and he'll be attacking both g7 and threatening to come into e7 here. Not that it's any strong or anything, but and then possibly also d6. So I think the move rook h to e1 seems pretty logical to defend the e5 square. So now one possible move for him would be knight b6, attacking my c4 pawn, and also opening up the d file for him. I'm not really worried about any kind of threat on my c pawn necessarily because that's the file that his king is lined up on. So it would be a simple matter of defending it directly or indirectly. Probably a simple way to defend it would be something like just knight f3, then after rook takes rook, rook takes, then queen takes c4. I could just play either queen takes c4 or just rook c1 right away. Well, probably not rook c1 right away because then you can trade queens, but queen takes queen, knight takes queen, and then rook c1. So, as you can see, he didn't go for that. Apparently he's not too interested in grabbing pawns at the moment, so now it's just a matter of figuring out a good plan. Find his weak points. That's what we're going to try to do. Looks like the weakest points in his position right now are either the b6 square, which I don't really have any way to exploit at the moment, or the f7 and g7 pawns. I'm not usually one to go for pawns in a position like this, but it looks like it's kind of my only option here. So if I can come up with an idea to both guard e5 and go for the f7 and g7 pawns, that would be good for me. So let's see what we can figure out. Okay, so one possible idea would be queen b4, which would exert pressure over the weak b6 square, like I was saying. And then I don't really see a good way for my knight to come in there, though. The knight on d4 is at least 4 moves away from it, and the knight on g3 has to go through a minefield to get there, so So like the only possible path for the knight on d4 would be something like knight f3 to d2 to b3 to c5 to a4 to b6. So that's a lot of moves away, so I don't think that's going to be an option. Okay, so due to trying to create the video and talking while I'm playing, I'm running kind of low on time here. So whatever I have to play it soon. So let's see what the candidate moves here are. So my h4 pawn is kind of loose. I think probably the best option here is just to go back with my knight to knight f3, because I don't really see any other way that we could progress. So knight f3, nice, just kind of a waiting move almost. So as you can see now, he's trying to pile up on my c pawn. I don't necessarily think that's a great plan for him, because, I mean, yeah, maybe it creates some kind of weaknesses for me, but I don't know. I just play b3 and kind of consolidate everything. So yeah, he's pretty much just trying to control the center like I am, so possibly I can double up my rooks here.